18 Democratic votes, then the House of Representatives will have carried the omnibus health care reform bill. So the incendiary debate that ignited town hall meetings all across our country this summer and caused widespread anxiety that President Obama was just trying to do too much is about to reach the critical milestone after months of political maneuvering, with this vote now standing at 192, 195 to 178 on a compromise bill that, as we saw in the last hour, will not cover abortion and will not cover immigrant health care. What it will do is require most Americans to carry health insurance. It will provide subsidies to those who cannot afford to do so. The insurance industry will be much more closely regulated under the provisions of the bill, and the industry practice of denying coverage for pre-existing medical conditions will be outlawed. And much to the dismay of critics, the government will be, if this is adopted by the Senate, the federal government, will be selling insurance policies under the so-called public option. And when all is said and done, it is projected that coverage will be provided to 96% of Americans, including about 36 million who are currently uninsured. And to pay for it all, the tremendous price tag, we are told that Medicare cuts will amount to the hundreds, perhaps $400 billion, and a tax surcharge of 5.4% will be imposed on the wealthiest Americans, those families earning more than $1 million. The vote now stands at 2-3 to 195. We have on the telephone, I believe, the chairman of the Republican National Committee, Michael Steele, former lieutenant governor of the state of Maryland. Are you there?
I am there. Hey,
all right, Mr. Chairman, how are you doing? How come you're not there?
I was doing well until I am sitting here and I'm watching the Democrats in our Congress shackle our nation with a $1.2 trillion, brace around our necks in health care. This is just an amazing rejection and repudiation of what the American people said they wanted over the course of the summer and fall. And I cannot believe that these guys are that deaf to what we've witnessed here this past 6 or 7 months. So, the vote will probably hit tonight, and a lot of folks will have to go back home to their districts and explain why they think the federal government can do a better job of providing health care than the private sector, or why they think the federal government should be involved in this in the first place.
The Democrats now, Mr. Chairman, at 208, so you fully expect they'll get now 210, the 8 votes they need for passage.
Yeah, I mean, look, bottom line is Nancy Pelosi would not have called for a vote unless she had the numbers. That's the reality. She would not want to have the kind of egg on her face that the administration has had in some of its outings over the last few weeks. So she was much more methodical about this. The other sad part of this, Geraldo, you referenced the abortion piece, you referenced the illegal immigrant portion of the bill. That's a promise, and we got word late this afternoon that there was talk among some of the more liberal Democrats that they were told that don't worry about the abortion language. It's going to be stripped out in conference. There's no guarantees that everything...
Wait. You're saying that this is a Trojan horse?
Yes,
that they put the anti-abortion provision in, but they expect in conference with the Senate to sneak it out after it was passed so publicly tonight?
Without hesitation or doubt, absolutely.
But you realize that what you are attributing to the Democrats is out-and-out deceit.
Well, excuse me. Haven't we been deceived enough? I mean, we were told that we would have 72 hours to look at this monstrosity. Nancy Pelosi threw it back in our face and said, no, she wasn't going to allow the American people to look at this thing. We were told that we wouldn't have a public option, and guess what we got? A public option. We were told that this wouldn't raise taxes on the middle class of this country, and it does. We were told that this thing wouldn't cost more than $800 billion.
Well, wait, back up on that middle class tax increase. I just read the bill, and I understand by all accounts, as we get within 5 votes of passage, that only the wealthiest Americans, those families earning over $1 million a year, will be paying that 5.4% income tax surcharge. So how do you figure, unless middle class means something else to you than it does to me?
Well, wait a minute. No, you believe that? I mean, come on. First off, you really think the final tab on this thing is going to be at $1.2 trillion, right? You really believe that?
You're the expert. I'm just a reporter.
Well, but I know you are. This is the point here.
215.
But this is the thing, Geraldo. This is the discussion the American people wanted this Congress to have, and they refuse to have. They refuse to really go through this thing methodically. But let's even step away from this for a moment. Why are we doing this to 1/6 of our economy when we have clearly identified where the weak spots are in this healthcare system that we could readily fix without having to put a millionaire tax in place?
Let me ask you this. Did you think that the Republicans waited too long to present their alternative that just showed up this week?
No, not at all, because the thing about it,
216.
The thing about it, Geraldo, is that the Republican members, and Leader Boehner and McConnell, I have to give them credit. They have fought valiantly through some 800 amendments in subcommittees before this thing got to the floor. They were all rejected. I mean, they have introduced legislation after legislation. They've asked for meetings with the president. They have not, since April. The Republican leadership has not had one meeting, one sit down with the president to talk about his health care bill. So all of this talk about bipartisanship,
217.
all this other stuff to me is just a ruse.
218. This is a Fox News alert. The House of Representatives has passed the Omnibus Health Care Reform Bill. It has passed muster in the House. As you can see from the tally on your screen, all of those voting in favor of the legislation are Democrats. 39 of whom joined the opposition, joined the Republicans. All the Republicans have voted on the nay side, 175 Republicans so far. But the bill has passed after months of contentious debate. It has achieved the bare minimum. I don't know what the final tally will be with 6 minutes still to go, but as you can see, the Democrats on the chamber, in the packed chamber, standing to applaud their success in ramming through with a party line vote the $1.2 trillion health care reform bill that the Republican National Committee Chairman Michael Steele says, I am smoking something illegal if I believe that it will only cost $1.2 trillion. Do you feel right now, Mr. Chairman, a sense of defeat?
No, I don't. As a matter of fact, I'm emboldened. I am so emboldened right now. I'm listening to these Democrats applaud themselves out of office and out of power because the American people will resoundingly reject this next year. These folks will have to go home and explain why they just laid this burden on their back when it was avoidable, where there was an opportunity to do something radically different from this. So I'm ebullient. I'm excited. I'm ready to go to the streets of this country and take this case directly to the American people, since these folks clearly didn't want to do that. They didn't want to expose their so-called reform to any particular review. We're going to do it, and the next battle is going to be in the Senate. And I still contend that all those little dances that they did today on the illegal immigrant provisions, on the abortion provisions, they will strip that out in Congress because there's no guarantee. In fact, Mr. Waxman made it very clear today on the House floor when questioned by Speaker Boehner that neither he nor any member in that chamber could guarantee that those provisions would survive Congress. This is all a ruse.
I spoke today, Mr. Chairman, with Geraldine Ferraro, who was, of course, the 1984 candidate for vice president, and she pointed out that Congressman Bill Owens, the newest member of the Congress, the one from the 23rd District in upstate New York, the Democrat who won because of the division in your party, has cast his vote in favor of the health care legislation. Is that a bitter, ironic twist?
No, this is amazing. Mr. Owens, he's broken 4 campaign promises in the first 24 hours of being elected to office. So guess what? Enjoy the seat, Mr. Owens, because the Republicans are going to take it from you next year.
All right, then further in that vein, Mr. Chairman, Congresswoman Ferraro also suggests that Democrats have indicated even in Virginia and New Jersey that they care deeply about issues like health care, and she believes, as do other, at least mainline Democrats, at least they say so publicly,